Welcome to Apropos. Well, the 71-year-old Frenchman on trial for sedating his wife over the course of a decade and recruiting dozens of strangers to rape her will not now appear in court to give testimony until at least next Monday. Dominique Pellicot was excused from the proceedings after the presiding judge told the court that the defendant's health had further deteriorated. 50 other men accused of taking part in the abuse are also on trial. With the latest on the case that has horrified France, here's Monte Francis.
Looking weak and leaning on a cane, Dominique Pellicot appeared in a courtroom in Avignon Wednesday. The 71-year-old was due to testify in a case that has shocked France, but the judge postponed his testimony after the defendant's attorney explained that Pellicot was unable to endure a full day in court because of his poor health.
Dominique Pellicot is indeed physically present today. Psychologically, he is not in good shape, and physically, he's still in a lot of pain, and I feel he's very, very weak. And I feel he's in no way able to handle a full day of court, sitting on a chair, waiting for his turn to speak and to be really fit to answer all of the questions.
Dominique Pellicot has admitted to charges that he recruited dozens of men to rape his heavily sedated wife over a decade. Prosecutors say he drugged Giselle Pellicot with sleeping pills and filmed the acts involving 72 men, 50 of whom have been identified. The defendants range in age from 26 to 74. The presiding judge said the hearings would continue in spite of the defendant's absence, but Giselle Pellicot's attorney had argued the defendant must be present for the proceedings.
The question that arises is how can this trial continue if Dominique Pellicot is not present? There can't be a trial if Pellicot's health and his ability to stand trial are not guaranteed.
The judge ordered Dominique Pellicot to undergo a medical examination, saying he could not appear in court until Monday at the earliest and would consider temporarily suspending the trial on Thursday. Pellicot and the other defendants face up to 20 years in prison if they're convicted.
Well, for more on this story, we're joined now by Anne Cecile Mailfert. She's president of the Fondation des Femmes here in France. Good to have you with us on the programme this evening, Anne Cecile. You have expressed regret at the absence of the main defendant in this case due to his illness. You say it's important to hear what the accused has to say in cases like this, not least for their victims, in this case his wife. Why is that so important?
Well, it is important because first of all, for the victim, Giselle Pellicot, she's been raped, she's been under chemical submission. It's horrible what her husband did to her. So she needs to have this process, she needs to have this trial, and she needs to hear her husband, first of all. But then she also wanted this trial to be public so that the society can learn something from it. So we also need Dominique Pellicot to be there and to be confronted to his actions, because France is now watching this trial, and we are trying to understand rape culture. We want to understand more because we need to change as a society. We need to move forward. We need to change. We need to learn from that terrible case.
Yes, because Ms. Pellicot, she says she's waived her right to anonymity to highlight the danger to women, other women who may have been drugged or sexually attacked. So do cases like this and the publicity that they receive, the fact that, you know, survivors choose to speak out, does that encourage other women to report abuse?
Well, I think it's a very interesting, it's very interesting for women, but also for the medical staff, because chemical submission means that it's the administration of a substance, a drug, without the victim's knowledge, in order to proceed with a criminal act or delinquent purposes. So as the victim has been drugged, she doesn't always know what happened, because she doesn't have a memory of what happened in the case of Giselle Pellicot. So she didn't know that she was raped all these times by her husband and her husband's friends. So as you know, with this process, with this trial, we are opening our eyes, and the medical staff also are opening their eyes to that to the fact that it does happen, probably more often than we think, and so it helps. It gives a bit of awareness to the population, but also to the medical staff.
And Anne Cecile, you've praised the investigators in this particular case for taking the complaints of the victims seriously. And this remains a huge problem for victims of rape, not just here in France, but elsewhere. They're afraid to come forward for many reasons. Many of them feel that they just simply won't be believed. So how can they be encouraged to come forward in cases such as this?
There is many things that we have to change in France when it comes to sexual violences. Unfortunately, it is underreported by victims, but it's also it's not taken seriously by the police or by the justice. This trial right now is a bit a counterexample of that, because it was taken seriously. All this trial, it all comes from Dominique Pellicot doing upskirting. It's when you take a picture under the skirt of a woman, and of course it's illegal. And there was somebody saw him doing that in a supermarket, and the police came and took it very seriously. They took his telephone, and then they also took his laptop. And when they opened the laptop and the telephone, they saw all these videos. And it's all started like that. And Gisèle Pellicot was saved because a police officer took seriously upskirting, one picture of an upskirting. So it was well done, but it's so rare. Because in France, there is more than 94% of the rape complaint that leads to no trial. There is no trial. There is no investigation. It's not even investigated. So with this trial right now, what we're trying to do also with the other feminist organizations is that we are demanding for a comprehensive legislative reform that could close the legal loopholes that are still so numerous in the judicial process. From complaint to trial, there is so many dysfunctioning in France. And thanks to this trial, we are trying to also to raise awareness among the population and to demand politically a comprehensive legislative reform.
Yeah, because you say that the culture of rape is very present in France.
Yes.
Why is that the case, and how does France compare to other European countries?
I don't know. Comparing, when it comes to rape culture, I don't really know if there is a magical country where there is no rape culture. And if you know one, tell me, because I think we're all going to ask for for a refugee there. But it is in France. We have a lot of different factors that explains why there is still such a huge rape culture. There is cultural factors, historical and cultural factors. It has always been very difficult for victims to come forward and to report sexual violence. Also, the institutions, it's really resistant to changes and to understand women and to take them seriously. So there is a lack of accountability. There is impunity in France. There is a huge impunity. There's less than 1% of rapists that are condemned. Also, in our media, our cinema, there is so many also perpetrators that used to have a lot of power in the media and the culture and the cinema that, of course, you can see that it can be an explanation of why the media or the movies or the books often portrays sexual violence in a way that normalizes it. or romanticizes it. We have the French gallantry, for instance, that sometimes is not just gallantry, but more like the French romance and the French kiss and the French men. Well, actually, it's not that nice, because it's, sometimes like, this is not seduction, this is aggression. So we have that in France for sure. So I don't know how are the other countries, but I know that we do have our issues in France. And we hope that with this trial, among others, but with this trial, we hope that something will start to change in our country, because Me Too wasn't enough. It was not enough. We didn't have any political response to Me Too. So maybe with that one, with that trial that is so huge and so monstrous, maybe we can have something that changes in France.
Now, the case itself, it does appear to have, though, divided opinion in the town where these crimes are alleged to have taken place, including the town's mayor. He seems to be almost downplaying the severity of what happened, suggesting that things could have been worse, if the victim was killed, and things are worse for other women who can clearly remember what happened. So what kind of message does that send to victims of rape and abuse?
The defense, the lawyers of the defense are really, how can I say that? It's terrible what they're doing. I think they can defend the clients without using rape culture. I mean, they could do it, but they're not doing it. They're going the easy way, and it's a very, very humiliating way for the victims. It's terrible for Gisèle Pellicot, the mom, but also Caroline Darion, that you can see in the image right now. They are both so strong and they're so courageous, and they're trying to, they're trying to help other women too with that public trial. And the way that the defense are defending the clients, saying also that they are rapes and they are rapes that are not really rapes. And then they're like mixing everything. They're victim blaming. They are trivializing rapes and the consequences. They're really like, their defense is really disgusting, actually. But what could you expect from men who do that?
Anne Cecile, we'll have to leave it there for now, but thank you so much for your time on the programme this evening. That is Anne Cecile Mailfert, President of the Fondation des Femmes. Well, that is it from us for now. Do stay with us, though. We'll be back shortly.